Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks! What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe. We find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of Nerd Culture, and our guest on this episode is indie writer, gamer, and professor extraordinaire of the steampunk genre. Please welcome Bonsart Bokel to the stage. Hello, Bonsart. How are you, good sir?
Good day. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Oh, awesome sauce. Thank you very much for being with us. Now, if you have any questions for Bonsart Bokel as we go throughout the course of this episode, by all means, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. Our producer is going to be monitoring it as we go throughout the course of this program. But in the meantime, Bonsart, what would you say were some of your favorite books and or writers growing up?
Growing up, I guess one of the earliest memories is Jules Verne. Really loved his travel stories. I remember listening to cassette tapes with his stories. There are also some other stories that I really love, which I don't really know the authors of. Some of them were medieval stories, like we call it the Roland Song, which is about one of the paladins of Charlemagne the Great. Who was a lot talked about when I was young, not anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, and I was also big into anime, so I was a big fan of Ghost in the Shell, Lost Exile. So those were kind of like my formative years.
All right, I gotcha. What would you say are some of your favorite movies and or TV series, past or present? And this could be any genre.
Metropolis. I have a soft spot for Blade Runner. I'm a big Fritz Lang fan. Let's see. I'm trying to recall. The Big Combo is one of my favorite Marvel films. What are other movies I want to go back to? There's a recent one that I watched is a Dark Valley, which is a Western, but it takes place in the Austrian Alps, so that's interesting. But it's probably one of my favorite Westerns now. So yeah, I'm not that big of a media consumer. So I mean, yeah, as a kid, I watched Ninja Turtles and those types of shows, G.I. Joe, and all those good old-fashioned hits, and those are also a major inspiration for my current work as well.
Ah, that's cool. Totally. And yeah, I remember growing up on reruns of the original TMNT Ninja Turtles animated series from late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s too.
That time, yeah.
That show lasted an awfully long time. Gee willikers.
That far dated me. Yeah.
No, it's okay. Listen, age is just a number, my good friend. It's okay. There's no problem with that. Absolutely not. When did you decide to become a writer?
It's something I guess I flirted with for a very long time as a kid. I loved coming up with stories. But I'm also dyslexic, so writing is not does not come natural to me. And when I went to university, my papers were so terribly bad that it kind of like demotivated me from writing altogether. Even though I did take remedial teaching at the time, and that's when I realized that I was dyslexic, in a very peculiar way. And then I started doing life coaching. I can't call it therapy, but I learned a lot from that person. And she said, you should be writing. So I started experimenting. I wrote in Dutch at the time. And she said, you should really keep on doing this. And Well, I started, took a break from it to make YouTube videos. I started making the Steampunk Beginners Guide, which is a documentary series on YouTube about, well, the steampunk genre, but also its aesthetics and the culture around it. And then, of course, I started talking more and more about world building and how steampunk can be used as a tool to construct worlds and characters and that type of thing. That finally led to me getting all these questions about, steampunk and writing. And eventually I kind of decided, well, I should be making my own series. And that eventually led to the creation of the Association of Ishtar.
Wow, fascinating. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. And by the way, our good friend Bastion Girls joined us on Twitch. She says, hey, everyone. Hello, Melanie. Good to see you. Hope everything's well in your neck of the woods. If you have any questions for Bonsart Bokel, by all means, drop it in the comments, drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you, as well as you who may be watching or listening to this at this very moment. So, just say, are some of the biggest rewards about being a writer?
Biggest rewards? Well, I mean, I'm still very much in the building up phase. So, what are the biggest rewards? Yeah, I don't know. Like it's an experience into itself. So I don't really think in terms of rewards at the moment. It's really the people who you meet along the way. Right now for me, and where that road will be going. Like with the Kickstarter that we have coming up, I have no idea how it will do, but this will be my third one. And I reached out to so many people. We're gonna have people who post guest blogs, and the last one we also had people who offered their own books up for sale through my Kickstarter. That's been quite an experience. Not for this one, but I hope to do it again for the next one after that. And I'm still learning so much, and skill wise, software wise, also how to reach audience. That's just going to be my next big challenge. And you just keep on going and developing, and I'll see where it ends. I'm now, somebody is working on a board game based on my setting. Other things that I cannot yet talk about that are in development, like sales wise. It's if I make money, it goes straight to my illustrators. But I've got illustrators coming to me now, like, hey, can I do art for you? Because especially from the Americas, it's very interesting because all they get to draw is either superheroes or women. And when they work for me, they get to do something else for once. So it's very interesting how people respond to the type of art we make for the series.
Oh, rock on, man. Rock on. On the opposite side of the fence, though, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being a writer?
The biggest challenges, for me personally, it's reaching an audience. And then that's something I'm trying to remedy. I found this course. It's called what is it? You can find it for free, and I'm really enjoying it. This guy who I forgot his name, David Vaughn, I think his name is. He has this course you can follow for free, starting from zero. It is called, and you can follow it for free. You don't even have to pay for his books that he's offering. So I highly recommend that. And that's purely about marketing. That's one thing that I've noticed whenever writers come together. When you start writing, you have this idea that writers are all about creativity, but the moment writers come together, it's like, hey, do you have any tips for me how I can sell my books? So that always turns out to be the topic of conversation.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Good tools and resources are available out there. That's fantastic. No question about it. What are a few, from what you've learned thus far, if you will, what are some pieces of advice you would offer to somebody who aspires to become a writer?
Start writing. Like, seriously, and I cannot stress this enough. Like, I know people who started like building their world before I started my first book, and they're still working on that. And really, the world building happens the moment you put like actual lines of fiction on paper. So that would be my biggest advice. and everything else, comes from gathering feedback. But start writing today. If you've got a story and you start writing that, and I don't mean like start building like designing your world. I call that world design. So for me, that's the writing, the world building happens when you start actually writing the story.
Exactly. And Drake Tungsten, if I'm saying that correctly, says that's exactly right. Start writing. Just do it. In the words of Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Going back a few years, but I'm just, things are out there.
It's timeless.
It is, and quite frankly, that quote has been used on so many different pieces of media for very different reasons. So we just leave that one where we'll just let that sleeping dog lie. But for you just joining us, we are here on And I Quote with Bonsart Bokel. If you have any questions for this extraordinary individual, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Do not forget to like and share this with everyone you know. So there you go with that. Now, some examples here, if you don't mind, for those of you watching or listening, of your work. Tell us what we're looking at here. How did this come about?
Okay, so this is so it's a story into itself. So I was working on the Association of Ishtar series, which originally are short stories, which you can find in these wonderful bundles, which are completely in color, by the way. Some are illustrations by members of our community, or just people who are like, oh, that looks awesome. And the idea behind the Association of Ishtar is that it's a steampunk world. And one of the things that I am very interested in is like, how does a steampunk world come about? Now, to clarify, when I talk about the steampunk genre, I mean cyberpunk in the past. So, and I don't care about what's past or how you interpret cyberpunk, but that relationship between man and technology in a certain historical period or setting. And the coloring book came about when I really wanted to make steps to find illustrators I could work with. And I don't have it handy right now, but when I wrote my first book, in the process of writing my first book, is The Wrench in the Machine. I have my own podcast, Radio Retrofuture podcast, and I was talking with a steampunk creator from Australia, SK, and he was working on a comic called Wordsmiths, which is for a younger demographic. And he asked me, like, Bonsart, you're writing so much, why don't you write your own comic? And I said, well, that's a very good question. So that kind of led to my first comic, which was based on the first story I've written for the Association of Ishtar, called The Call Girl. That story laid the foundation for what I wanted my world eventually to be. So that's why I start writing. And eventually I found an artist I thought was great, and it was a very negative experience. Like, he completed it, but there was a lot of things I wasn't happy with, especially in communication. So I was like, okay, I need to find somebody I can trust and work with, and I need to practice communicating with artists, and someone I have synergy with. And that's when I came up with the coloring book idea, so I could have, because I thought, adult coloring books, everyone loves adult coloring books, so I have something that I can monetize. And that eventually led to me commissioning a bunch of artists who responded to a post I put on what was it, DeviantArt. Like, I got like over 30 reactions or something. It was quite insane how many reactions I got to that. And some were very generic cut and paste jobs, like, oh, you need an artist? Well, I'm an artist, and just some generic message. But there were like, some people were like, wow, you want to make something steampunk? Wow, that's awesome. And that led to this. This is the Kickstarter version, which with art with the artist that I currently work most with, Johan Alexander. He's from Indonesia, and he's brilliant. Not only is his art beautiful, he also works hard, very hard. And we've got landscape images, which kind of like demonstrates what the world looks like. And by various artists. This is a less experienced artist, and still, it was a lot of fun to do it, learn how to collaborate with a lot of people. I even got art by one of the original BattleTech illustrators. I did not even know he was an original BattleTech illustrator. But yeah, so that's kind of like the background story of the coloring book. And me and Johan have been working ever since. He's doing work on our current comic, Journey to Elysium. He has also made 2 alternate covers, which are frigging awesome. And I hope the people here are interested in such a thing, because we're going to be launching by the end of the month. So within now and 2 weeks, I hope. So yeah, that was a long ramble.
No, it's okay. We appreciate you sharing with us, how these things have come about and how they're progressing and going through the motions and all that stuff. And another example, and you actually alluded to it just a moment or two ago. This one, Bound for the Sticks, if I'm saying that right. Is this part of a series as well?
Yes. So the idea of the Association of Ishtar is that it's a steampunk world. However, how the steampunk came about was that on this world, all types of rifts to other worlds started opening up. And through these rifts, there can be your typical monsters. However, there can also be ideas from other worlds, futuristic worlds. So this world, the main world, does not really have any inventors. It's just engineers reverse engineering stuff illicitly, because they don't want other people to know where they get their technological know-how from. And so there's also an SCP aspect to it. And the Association of Ishtar in this world is one of the organizations that are investigating all these rifts, trying to figure out where all these people get their technology from, and see if there needs to be something about it. They're very hyper focused. They're kind of like the Shadow, but an organization, in a sense. And the Bound for the Sticks is a bit of an odd one in the series, because The Wrench in the Machine was really written as an introduction. It also contained some of the short stories that I also put in bundles, because when I presented the short stories to a publisher, said, well, we love them, but we are afraid you're going to be alienating the audience, because they're written as actual files. So they're in-world documents, kind of like the files you find when you go through the world of Fallout or something, where you find all these letters and other documents, something like that. And that's said, well, we want some kind of overarching story. And that became The Wrench in the Machine. And the main character finds these files during his investigations. So that's how they fit into the story. That eventually led to me including one of the short stories is about a girl, and she's from one of these other worlds, and she ends up being trapped on the world of the Association of Ishtar, and the Association of Ishtar are kind of like keeping her alive. However, she's also a cyborg. She's from a very futuristic society, and she has like all these implants. However, when they find her, I think from the top of my head, she's 12. And by the time we meet her in The Wrench in the Machine, she's 16. So her body has grown, but all these implants have not. So she's like having all these medical conditions because of that. And stuff happens during The Wrench in the Machine. That brings us to the beginning of Bound for the Sticks. There she travels to this particular place, which is kind of like a fan favorite, called Arcology. It's a city inside of an ancient space station. To add up to that craziness, the space station first is a ruin, so it's overgrown with all these alien life forms that are also pouring in from other places of the universe. So you could like encounter dinosaurs as a matter of speech there. However, the thing is, there's a video you can find on my YouTube channel called The White Airship. And what the White Airship does, when a world in this multiverse is about to be destroyed, the White Airship goes there, picks up a small number of stragglers, so to speak, and delivers them to the city of Arcology. So Arcology is this city where there's all these people from all these various worlds, from all these various cultures who have nothing in common with one another, are trapped, and they cannot leave that place. So they are literally living out their existence, and whatever is left of their world dies with them, essentially. Um, However, it's also because there's also futuristic worlds being destroyed. That also ends up there. Most are like people with Bronze Age level technology, so most are like, "What the hell is this?" But some are from very advanced worlds. There are even some cyborgs there, not many, but some. And that girl goes to that city to get medical assistance, essentially. And that eventually will, and that's basically the story, and how she kind of like gets absorbed in that culture because, well, she's also kind of orphaned from her own world. So it fulfills a particular niche of her, I suppose.
Man, it's really fascinating stuff. I'm really digging this. This is very, very intriguing stuff. And we thank you for sharing that with us. And once again, we are here with indie writer, gamer, steampunk fan, Professor Extraordinaire, Bonsart Bokel here on And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for him, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. I'm more than happy to take those from you. Whether you are joining this live or on the replay, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. There's no doubt about that. So, and I've seen this come about at certain events, whether it's conventions, outside of conventions, things like that. People who are dressed up in outfits that are steampunk related. So for someone, if an individual were to approach you and ask you the big question, well, steampunk, I've seen it around, I've seen bits and pieces of it, I've seen images floating around the interwebs. What exactly is steampunk? How would you go about explaining it to someone who is unfamiliar with the genre?
So for me, steampunk can refer to three different things. One is the genre, which is defined not by me but by somebody else, but I accept it is cyberpunk in the past. So it comes from the cyberpunk community. Bruce Sterling and William Gibson were the first ones who created the first self-styled steampunk book, which is the Difference Engine. And that kind of like started to set a trend from that set of writers, and eventually that somehow got adopted by certain aspects of the DIY and cosplay community. Like there are various countries who believe they were first, but of course, they're heavily influenced by H.G. Wells and the Romantic Futurists, the first science fiction writers. In particular, Jules Verne gets mentioned a lot. In the 1990s, you also got like the movie Wild Wild West, which a lot of people associate with steampunk. I do not. I associate it with Weird West, which is kind of the forerunner of steampunk. But that's often gets neglected, unfortunately, because for me, when you ask me like how do you write, for example, a steampunk character, so we're still talking about the genre, look at Western. A lot of good steampunk characters are Western characters. So that's the genre. Then you've got like the aesthetic that most people are familiar with, which gets incorporated in a lot of gaming in particular. But you've also got the costuming. Now I recently made a video on the steampunk aesthetics and how to do it. So I highly recommend people interested in exploring the aesthetics go there, because I do have things to say about that, on how to do it properly. And then eventually you also got what most people are also familiar with is the costume culture, as I call it, which is very separate from the writing and creative cultures. That's why I also split them in three separate topics. That's about it for me.
Well, we thank you for sharing that information with us and explanation of what steampunk is and how you go about it and such. Just really, really appreciate it. No problem with that at all. So have there been any special memories for you from being at events or conventions, whether you're there as a vendor selling your books or there as an attendee?
Well, for when I started, I mostly was there as in costuming. Originally, I started in reenactment. I did 14th century reenactment. So we did. I done that for like 12 years. I gave fighting instruction. I led troops during reenactment battles, and yeah, we had the actual castles to do it with. Yeah, and that's after doing that for 10 years, I started writing. Like I tried fantasy, but steampunk was my thing because I love history and I love science fiction. So there you go. And yeah, that's kind of also the period where I started losing interest in it. I also took up martial arts at that time, and yeah, it just lost its charm. I still have my weapons and stuff, but um, yeah, it just lost, the spark was lost. And yeah, then I started really focusing on the steampunk, and I did a lot of the costuming. That's also by the time I started my blog that was called Tupperware Steampunk. And that kind of evolved eventually into my YouTube channel, Radio Retrofuture. And yeah, with the costuming, I always wanted to do. I also always wanted to tell stories. Even then, so I created a costume group called the Ragtag, the 113th Ragtag, which were steampunk soldiers. We had this kids, all these kids activities. One of them was like this obstacle course. One of our members was very active in the World War II community. So he had like all these old discarded practice elements from the Dutch army that they were allowed to use. And it was like, well, when we're not using them, we can use them for this. And so we built this obstacle course with like nerve guns, like including the automated ones. And, kids could throw toy grenades at us and fire nerve guns at us. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, but we had too little participants to justify doing it. So that kind of died. We tried like smaller setups with like shooting arcades with nerve guns and stuff like that. And yeah, we did photo shoots as well. And eventually, I wanted to do something more related to the character I was doing for my YouTube channel, Radio Retrofuture, where I also have a particular character that I play during the videos. And yeah, that became Arcology, which is where Bound for the Styx takes place, and also that character also plays a role in that as well. So I could start like incorporating the costume characters of my group into the books and play with that as their own characters. So yeah, it really has been this massive expansion. Now I'm just a vendor. Well, just a vendor. Now moving in the vending area, and yeah, it's where what I heavily enjoy. I must admit, I did not think I would enjoy being a salesman that much, but I do. And yeah, it allows me to tell about my stories, and people, they want to hear from me why they should buy my books, and it's very interesting to see how people react to it. And I'm now doing this for my second year, and now I've got like people coming to my table. Oh, I was here last year. Can I have your next book, please? I'm like, okay, So yeah, and yeah, I'm still looking for that audience, but it's coming slowly but surely.
Well, seeking you shall find, and there's nothing more fun than cosplaying, putting together outfits, and being with the people who enjoy the same things that you do. So it's community, right? That's what it's about. So work together as a team. You can do much. That's a fact, my good friends. And for those of you just joining us, this is And I Quote with indie writer, gamer, and steampunk professor extraordinaire Bonsart Bokel here on And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any questions for this individual, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Whether you are joining this live or on the replay, thank you for being here. We cannot do this without you. And we wish you the best with everything moving forward. And you and I were talking earlier on about something that's coming up somewhat relatively soon. You mentioned something about a Kickstarter that's coming up. So tell us a little bit about it.
So for Journey to Elysium, that is coming hopefully within the next 2 weeks. It's our first comic in a full-fledged series. Like I said, Johan Alexander from Indonesia, he's the main illustrator that we have, and yeah, we're working hard on it. His art is amazing, especially his coloring is very good. You know, and it has like references to Jules Verne. I mean, to so many things, especially European comics. They're just a lot more diverse than those in the United States at the moment. So, and we're both big fans of particular science fiction illustrators, in particular Mobius and some others that some people might know, like Storm. And I also try to incorporate as much as noir in there as possible, because that's one of my favorite aesthetics, including also Art Nouveau and Art Deco. And the first issue takes place on Earth. It's a story about the original creator of the space rockets on this world. And a matter of fact, for the Kickstarter, when the Kickstarter launches, I'm also going to launch a new video on my YouTube channel that explains the history behind this guy. And also this demonstrates how I create my steampunk worlds as kind of like alternative histories. So if you like both science fiction and history, I hope you'll really enjoy this series, which the first upcoming video will be about a very important ruler from India that the main character happens to be related to. And yeah, how can one not be a fan of Mobius? Well, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're already a fan, because a lot of the ideas George Lucas ripped straight from his pages. So, but it's, yeah, so that's basically, the comic is basically a short story into itself. Doesn't matter that much to the main plot itself, but it really grounds the reader into the world that they are about to leave for the city of Arcology. So it's going to be very interesting to bring that schizophrenic city to life, and also its environments. We're also going to take some inspiration from the manga Blame for that. For those who don't know, it has like these very desolate images of a mega structure. And yeah, it's I already drafted most of the comic storyline, and but yeah, I still need to refine things and get the themes properly set up. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to working on the next issue, and that is what the upcoming Kickstarter is for. Like I said, the basic version is already done. We're now working on variant covers, which are looking amazing. And we're also introducing a new artist to the team, who will be illustrating one of our upcoming books. And we also have a surprise book launch in there as well. People who follow my blog might already know what it is, but it's going to be very fluffy and adorable, and also a double agent. So I'm really looking forward to people getting introduced to that character.
Wow. Congratulations on that. That is fantastic. The link to where you can find more information about that Kickstarter is in the comment section of this video. So make sure you check that out. Check out all the wonderful things that Bonsart Bokel and his creative team over there are doing, and just do it. Anyway, sorry, I can't help it. Those words are just, they're on the tip of my tongue.
Nonetheless.
You know, hey, they're on the tip of my tongue. It just seems to happen, you know, a couple of times here. It's, you know, plus I probably watched that video too many times. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying. But for those of you wondering, this episode of And I Quote, and every episode of And I Quote, is indeed powered by our good friends over there at Poddex. Now, Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters who are looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify their podcast. You simply shuffle up the cards, you ask a question, and more importantly, you let the content roll. Get yours today at poddex.com, and make sure you use that promo code Ryan10. That's RYAN, Ryan10, for 10% off your order. Don't miss out on that one from our good friends over there at Poddex. Now, Bonsart Bokel, Poddex wants to know which words and or phrases do you most overuse?
Make it your way. Yeah, can I swear on this channel?
You can. I mean, we try to keep it family friendly, but if you want to throw a little F-bomb here now and then, it's fine.
Yeah. So make it your way. Let's see. What other phrases do I often use?
Or overuse in this case.
Overuse.
Yeah, that was part of the question.
Oh.
Most overused.
Do I really have phrases like that? They're like words I use too much, like buts and stuff like that. But that's more of a writer thing to to find like variations on but, however, and furthermore. I'm not self-aware enough for this question. Does Poddex have another one?
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's no problem at all. That is no trouble at all. Sometimes these questions, I mean, they're meant to keep everyone on their toes, and sometimes it can be challenging. That's okay. But the next question from our good friends over here at Poddex: what do you consider the most overrated virtue?
Virtue, charity is definitely overrated. Oh, they just asked for one, and then my answer would be then my overrated virtue would be charity.
Yep, there you go. That's what we're getting at. If you were to what is known as pass on and come back as a person or a thing, what do you think it would be?
What I would pass on?
Yeah, if you were to die and come back as a person or a thing, what do you think it would be?
Oh, okay. I see.
That's being a little bit more blunt.
Gee, a beer glass. That sounds like a very good calling.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. This is the beauty of these questions. You never know what it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. If you had someone following you around all the time, what would you have them do?
Sorry, I was not paying attention. I just saw Johan, my illustrator, appear in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Johan Alexander, if I'm saying that correctly. That is an isekai question. Is that?
Yeah, isekai is like where anime characters go to other worlds.
Thank you.
Which, I mean, the Association of Ishtar kind of is, but then again, so is the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's going back to 1939. But yes, it's very true. They went to a different world, I should say, different place. All right. But just to give you a repeat of that one there, if you had someone following you around all the time, what would you have them do? Was the question.
What would I have them do?
Yeah.
I would have them clean my apartment.
There you go. Right on, man. Simple and to the point. Now, what book, aside from your own stuff, the stuff that you've put out, the stuff that you've published, the things that you've written, what book belongs on everyone's bookshelf?
Fahrenheit. What's the number? I always forget the number.
Oh, you mean Fahrenheit 451?
Yeah, 451. Yeah, absolutely. Some underrated fiction would be the short story "If the Machine Stops" from 1907. I think that book is.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it predicted the present. Let me put it this way, down to social media and YouTube.
It did, didn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
They saw it all coming. So.
My goodness.
Yes.
I might have to write these particular titles down, and maybe you who may be watching or listening to this may want to write these down so you can check out these books and read some of these stories as well.
Yeah. Are there any other books that there's one Dutch book I highly recommend, which is The Discovery of Heaven. I think there's an English translation of it.
Ooh, that sounds fascinating.
Yes, The Discovery of Heaven by Harry Mulisch. He's considered to be one of the Dutch great authors. It's a really thick book with a very small print, so you've been warned. But it's Very interesting. The premise, it's also high concept. I'm a big proponent of high concept. And the premise is basically the big boss wants the contract back.
All right. Well, everybody got that? Feel free to write it down on a piece of paper or type it up on your notes on your device so you have these titles
There's
to remember
also
for
a
later.
movie of it, but like I said, this is the book and this is the print. So then with Stephen Fry, I think, is in there.
Oh, Stephen Fry.
Yeah. I think Stephen Fry plays one of the main characters called Ono. And yeah.
Okay. Gonna have to keep that in mind as we move forward. With that, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Bonsart Bokel for being our guest on this particular episode of And I Quote, talking about all things steampunk and the incredible things that he's doing with him and his creative team over there. Bonsart, this has been great, kind sir. Thank you for being with us. So for the person who's watching or listening, where can they follow you on social media?
So I am on most social platforms. I mostly use Instagram and Facebook. I'm always on my Discord. We have our own Discord server, which is linked under every video on my YouTube channel, Radio Retrofuture. I regularly also make community posts there as well to increase the interactions. I should make more shorts as well of all my videos. But yeah, if you, I also have conversations there with my own podcast, with people from the steampunk community, with also other science fiction and retro futuristic creators in that space. And of course, a lot of steampunk, and I'm starting my new science fiction / history series, which I still don't have a name for, other than the Association of Ishtar. So I need to come up with something snappy so people will actually find and watch it. And what else do I have? Like I said in the comments, we also got the link to my Kickstarter, which I hope to launch between now and 2 weeks. And everything I earn from that Kickstarter will go to my illustrators. So yeah, I think that's about it. And of course, we also have a main website where you can subscribe to our newsletter called the Association of Ishtar.com. That's it.
Well, thank you very much, kind sir. Do appreciate you being here. This was great having a conversation with you and hearing about all the incredible things that you and your creative team are doing. All those links are located within the description below. Also, the link to his Kickstarter is located in the comments section of this video, both on our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitch feed, I believe, respectively. So check those out. Follow him and all the incredible things he's doing. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. Feel free to follow me and my lack of knowledge about steampunk. I'm still in the process of learning. Hey, you learn something new every day. I'm still learning, everybody. I'm still learning. Trust me on this. But follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM5. Also, I want to let you know that something very special is coming your way very soon. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, respectively, we're going to throw a great big live stream celebration that's going to include returning favorites, some surprise guests. Bonsart Bokel is more than welcome to join us and say hi to everybody. Maybe he can talk more about the incredible world of steampunk. Yeah. And also, our incredible friend known as the artwork of John Pinto has these. The special giveaways we're going to be giving out include these incredible prints. Look how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh. It's Star Trek Strange New Worlds with Anson Mount and company. Welcome to the Enterprise. So this is one of the items that you will be eligible to win in one of our giveaways. Also, we have another print here from John Pinto. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Look at all these doctors. Whoo! See what I did there? Yeah. I'm getting better at this. Doctor Who is another print you can walk away with. You can hang this up in your home, put it up in your office or your workspace, wherever it may be. Also, here's another example of John Pinto's work. If you're familiar with, we mentioned Star Wars. Well, you can put this one on your wall, right? Look how cool that is. Ooh, yeah. So all you got to do is tell your friends about us because they're going to tell their friends and so on and so on. You know how these things go. Also, the new podcast series that we're going to be starting on Sunday, October the 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time is called The Meaning of Fandom. We're going to have a roundtable of special guests on each episode. This is going to be the first one where they're going to be discussing what a particular fandom or character from a specific fandom means to that individual and why. And that is going to be a great, fascinating experiment. going to be doing with the Meaning of Fandom new series on Sunday, October the 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you check your local listings for that. Also, Ron Wasserman, the composer of all things, the theme songs to the classic hit series 1993's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, 1992/93's X-Men animated series, as well as Dragon Ball Z. Speaking of other properties, Bonsart Bokel, Dragon Ball Z, some of the other properties you may be familiar with. He composed the theme songs for those hit shows. Yeah, he's that guy. He's the man. So Ron Wasserman is going to be teleporting into our virtual studio and being an excellent guest as we discuss all things 90s, all the incredible music he has composed and put together over the decades. He's been doing it. We're very excited to have him. I cannot wait to have him here. I hope you are excited to have him here with us. And he's going to be taking your questions, so feel free to ask as many questions as you want in the comments when it goes live on Saturday, October the 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time at Nerd Culture Channel. All those links can be found in the description below. Once again, like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. And remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Sweet dreams they placed on me inside my mind. Chance my truth, twist the past, my memories are fading fast. Am I still missed? Who do you want me to be? Am I still
Choose high-flying action. Choose death-defying escapes. Choose spine-tingling thrills. Choose nail-biting intrigue. Now's your chance to choose the adventure. The Captain Hawkland Adventures. Available on Amazon.com. You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.